Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable pop-up event at the headquarters for Reynolds and Reynolds. I'm Sarah Vantine, and joining me now is Brad Title, president of Gubagoo. Brad, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, me too, Brad. This is going to be such an incredible conversation. Gubagoo is an incredible company, and neither of us were able to make it to the Reynolds headquarters this week. So it's perfect that we're able to use technology to get together and talk about some of the ups and downs dealers face when it comes to communicating with customers. And so just to kick things off, in so many cases, there's a lot of, dialogue that happens with customers and with the dealership. And it all starts in the chat functions. And that begins right at the dealer's websites. And they use all kinds of different ways to start that conversation. But could you tell us and share a little bit, how does Gubagoo assist customers when they have questions?
So we have an omni-channel platform that connects with the messaging channels, with the chat channels, the SMS channels, the website channels. So when we're being engaged on the website, we have the ability to communicate from any one of those channels and answer the questions as efficient, as effectively as possible, so that we can deliver the information offline to the people in the store. So that whether it's coming from social media, the website, by mobile device, we're able to connect the dealership with those channels to be able to give the responses that they're able to provide back to the customer.
When a lot of dealerships worry sometimes and they think about, okay, well, the customer's on my website, I want to make sure that I have that interaction quickly because their attention span, there's a lot of things going on. And as they're looking at inventory or looking to make a service appointment, that beginning phase in the chat dialogue box really sets the stage for the customer experience. So how do you and Gubagoo really enable that chat functionality to be able to assist customers, through that buying process when they're just getting started?
Great question. So, we've always looked at chat as the voice of the customer when we're communicating with the dealerships, and it's the face of the dealership when we're dealing with the customers. So, this space has evolved over the last 12 years that we've been in the business, and we've seen it go from self-managed solutions to fully managed service solutions to providing guided assistance in these fully managed solutions. Websites by nature are cold and lonely. Customers have questions, and being able to provide fully managed services when the dealer is not available and assist with the level of subject matter expertise needed in a buying experience is really important part of what we do with our services at the dealership level.
And I think, Brad, I heard a story about how a customer was able to get a chat bot to agree to sell them a vehicle for $1. Could you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, nothing good comes from when examples like this occur. AI, unfortunately, is not as intelligent as humans are. So whether it's a programmatic error or an error based on something that was set up in the inventory feeds that showed up and got the chat to engage. At the end of the day, I think a lot of these companies that are bolting onto the chat GPTs of the world have recognized this weakness and error and are look to improve the ability to not have that happen. We've taken a different approach to how we handle it. So we have our own built-in homegrown AI platform that we started 10 years ago. So we, of course, made sure that we do not allow for that type of error. But, it's happened. We've seen it in the media. And as an industry, nothing good comes from that when someone's trying to break it or not go in with the intention of just trying to get the answer, but rather trick it. So just a bit more time. And today I haven't heard any since that last episode, but nobody wants that to be happening. So I'm sure there's a lot of effort in all the different companies to make sure that doesn't occur.
Well, and that does bring up a great point, because a lot of dealerships are thinking about AI and they're thinking about that, again, the whole customer experience starting on their website and starting with that first interaction. And one of the questions I think that has come up is Gubagoo still using the blended model of AI and then human agents with their chat service when they're interacting on a website?
So we have a blended experience. As we've been building AI for years, we want our platform to be able to handle more of the conversation and have our operators manage, monitor, and assist. But there is a blended experience. Like I said, AI doesn't have the intelligence of the human factor. And so having the human element monitor, police, and manage the responsiveness, the relevant answers, is a very critical part of our strategy still, while the AI can lead in many of the conversations or questions.
So it sounds like, Brad, there's a lot of things that really just drive efficiency. You have that blended model that allows, the technology to do some of the heavy lifting when it's, more of the minor interactions, but when it comes to the deeper conversations or those deeper dialogues, then that's really setting the stage for that human conversation that's then getting had.
Correct.
Well, and one of the things that a lot of dealers watching today are probably thinking about is, okay, so there's chat services, there's a lot of different options of technology out there. How is Gubagoo doing things differently for customers? What does set y'all apart for the dealership experience?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Thank you. So I think that the first thing that I would probably touch on is, our most recent release was a big push on the AI platform that we've created internally to have it be able to handle more conversation than specific questions. And we've also worked to improve our training skills by using some of the open AI platforms to improve the training from consumer experience level and from a user experience. When you take the combined knowledge and experience of Gubagoo and our parent company, Reynolds, we have a lot of subject matter experience, best practice knowledge of how to implement this. And we have been focused heavily on this while we ramp up for NADA this year with some new big releases that will continue to drive what we're doing differently and carry that message.
Well, and Brad, you talked about NADA and you mentioned, all of the pieces coming up that dealers are considering this year. A lot of the conversations that I'm hearing in the industry are really centered around, what customer information ultimately am I going to be able to get into my CRM? How much can my sales consultant or my BDC team, what can they do with that information? How do they take it to the next level with the customer? And so, what are dealerships going to be able to do when they get higher quality information from Gubagoo and these chat experiences?
Well, again, another wonderful question. Chat is one of the first lines of collecting first-party data from consumers. So being able to inject the conversation and information we collect in a conversation into a CRM, it's very important from the responsiveness of the store to reply back to communicate to the customer. But that first-party information that we're now collecting should and could be used to create a unified customer profile that can be implemented in a CDP so that you can improve your effectiveness when it comes to your marketing, but even more so to be able to connect the results of those events and conversations back into the dealership systems when the phone rings or when the door swings and they're engaging with a customer or when a chat begins, to be able to understand all the events and communications that occurred outside or online so they can continue where they left off and connect that consumer experience.
Well, Brad,
that's truly the real opportunity.
Brad, you mentioned a term just a minute ago, CDP. And for dealers or individuals that are watching today that may not know what that means, that term has been thrown around quite a bit recently. Could you share a little bit more about what is a CDP and how does Gubagoo utilize it?
I would say it's probably one of the most broadly, widely, and loosely used terms. CDP is a customer data platform that collects data from all third-party sources, all sources of first-party data to be able to create one single view of a customer record. And then from a marketing perspective, having that in a data platform that allows you to engage these consumers on a one-to-one basis to be able to improve the effectiveness of your marketing and stay connected with them is really what the CDP is about today. The goal should be to take the results of those engagements and conversations and be able to connect it back into the systems in the dealership, whether it's in the retail tool, the chat tool, the CRM, so that you can always continue where you left off.
And Brad, thinking about the leveraging of technology, thinking about all these pieces that a dealership is putting into play when it comes to that customer experience, at the end of the day, the dealer is also the one that is utilizing this technology, and they have to have that relationship with you and your team to really deliver an excellent experience. So could you share a little bit with us too about what goes into, the installation and that first start when it comes to Gubagoo?
So we try to make the implementation pretty fast, fun, and easy. It's been part of our approach for day one. So when it comes to implementing our chat console, our omni-channel platform, It takes an OEM enrollment program that they're part of to be able to enroll. To be able to implement and activate, it's pretty simple. It's a bit of code that we put on the back of on the website to be able to have our buttons overlay onto the page. When it comes to implementing our retailing tools, one of our implementation specialists actually connects with the dealership to go through all the structuring of the deals and the form data, so that when we set up the retail process on their site, everything from the payment to the price to the calculation and all packages and interest rate and factory programs are all 100% penny perfect when it matches. And so that's what we do as far as how to, at a very thin level, take the product and get it active on a store website pretty quickly.
And if a dealership wants more information, wants to learn more about Gubagoo, what is the best next step for them to do?
Go to gubagoo.com. There's also hello@gubagoo.com they can go to. Our phone number is on the website as well. Fastest way to connect with us. There's always somebody there. We're a 24/7 company.
Well, Brad, we can't wait to hear more about what Gubagoo and Reynolds are creating. I know there's a lot coming into NADA that's going to be really exciting. And Brad, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today about some of the challenges dealers face when interacting with customers and how that they're applying this information from these interactions via chat.
Thank you very much.
Everyone, Brad Title, president of Gubagoo, on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine. Don't go away. Ted and Katrina will be right back after the break.